In this video, we are seeing some of the activities that occurred on the research vessel Endeavour on the afternoon of Wednesday, September 2nd, 2015. The Endeavour is the oceanographic research vessel belonging to the University of Rhode Island's Graduate School of Oceanography. And the Endeavour in this shot is located off the coast of Block Island, which is part of Rhode Island, and they are located above the wreckage of a German U-boat that was sunk at the very end of World War II. It is U-853, a very popular dive site for experienced divers in Rhode Island. And so we've just seen a remotely operated vehicle developed by ocean engineers from URI deployed into the water. It is still tethered in this shot to the crane, and you'll see that tether to the crane being removed momentarily. And the brightly colored line that's over the starboard side here is the tether that will remain intact, and that is what takes communications to the ROV from the driver, who is positioned inside the main lab of the ship and is able to view the shot from the cameras that are on the ROV in order to assist in navigation. So here's a quick view of the screens that the pilot of the ROV is viewing as he tries to maneuver. So you may begin to see some bubbles around the ROV, and that's a result of the activity of some of the impellers. The pilot of the ROV is situated inside the main lab and is trying to navigate the ROV based on some instructions being received via radio from one of the engineers that's out on deck. But they encountered some problems here, and as they tried to gain depth with the ROV, they experienced a ground fault. So they were losing electricity to the ocean somewhere. So then the team had to begin the recovery process and brought the ROV back up on board. You can see them lowering it with the crane here and securing it. They decided to detach the lower portion of the ROV that they refer to as the sled that contains a number of instruments. And you can see here the beautiful sunset that was behind us as the team was undergoing these operations here. And there's Oscar. Oscar's a crew member that helps all the researchers to safely deploy their instruments off of the vessel, and it was a joy to watch him direct these teams out on the deck today. So then Jordan, Matt, and Steve detached the lower part, the sled, and Oscar and the rest of the crew hoisted the upper portion of the ROV off of that for them and then safely secured that to the deck. I got to help them carry the sled into the wet lab, where they started to do some troubleshooting and try to isolate the source of the voltage leak out of the ROV. So here we can see Steve using a very simple tool, but powerful tool, a multimeter, just to check for a short in this circuit somewhere. And they did find something and discussed at length possible solutions, and they brought in Bill Fanning, the GSO tech, into the conversation to try and come up with the best approach to solving this problem. We thought there might be a little bit of water getting in one of the connections, and Steve had a really nice, elegant, low-tech solution for trying to see if there was any water in there, and had this handy little hand vacuum pump. Some of my former chemistry students may have seen something that looks similar to this when we did the demonstrations of the gas laws. So he was drawing a vacuum on that line to see if there was any water vapor in the line that would indicate that water had gotten into that connection. That didn't seem to be the case. I got distracted by some other exciting things that were happening on board the ship and didn't hear the entire conversation that led to a solution to this problem. So by the time I got back into the wet lab, the guys had already reassembled the components of the sled and were sealing up the connections. And now we wait for another opportunity tomorrow to test it again.